Mamalu é mamãe de Lumama. E Lumama é filha de Mamalu. Mamalu é mamãe de Lumama. E Lumama é filha de Mamalu.
Hi guys, I'm so excited. It's finally happening. My YouTube channel, the MAMALU Kitchen YouTube channel, where I get to share my amazing recipes with you guys. My mother's recipes, my grandmother's recipes, and in some cases my great-grandmother's recipes with your families. It's all about delicious, easy to make, but so impressive to look at, delicious in taste, food, mostly Mediterranean, a lot of Lebanese because that's where I'm from. First recipe that we are doing is my onion tarte tatin, and this never fails me. It is a star in my cooking classes because that's what I do. I teach people how to cook here in Dubai, and they love this recipe. It's basically an onion tart, and tarte tatin is basically a tart that you flip. It's a French tart. Usually they make it with sweet tarts, like you can do peach tarte tatin, you can do apple tarte tatin, that's the traditional one, but we are making a savory version with onions, and it's amazing for dinner parties, al fresco dining in the summer. This is a winner. So you want to do this. The first thing that we're going to start with is some butter. You're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. You'll need a tablespoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, half a teaspoon of crushed black pepper, half a teaspoon of pink salt. You can use any salt, sea salt, but I love Himalayan salt, and around 4 sprigs of fresh thyme, some ready-made puff pastry dough, as you can see, and extra flour for rolling the dough, and of course, the star ingredient of the dish, onions. So you're going to need 8 red onions. This is more because it just looks better in the bowl. But you will need 8 whole red onions. You can use any onions. You can use pearl onions, white onions, but I think these have a great color and a great sweetness and crunch to them, so they're perfect. All this fancy stuff is just garnish, so don't let it intimidate you. This is just some microgreens that we're going to make the dish look pretty with, okay? So we start off with melting our butter. So this is around 2 tablespoons, give or take, of butter. Now I'm going to put my sugar. If you like sweetness, you'd want a tablespoon. If you don't, you can just keep it to a teaspoon. So over here, and you want to caramelize this before you put the onions on. And we're just going to put our onions like that, and you want them tightly packed. That's the whole idea. Okay, so you have our beautiful onions nicely packed, and that's around 8 onions. This pan is a bit larger than the one I usually use, so we might need a little bit more onions. So this is the red onion with the peel. And what you want to do is really, I'm going to show you, because this is such an important part. When you peel your onion, you don't want to chop too much of the, I'm not sure what it's called, the end part. Okay, so you want to leave it connected. Because if you chop a lot of this end or top part off, then your onion will fall apart. It won't have the root to connect it. So when you flip your onion, you're just going to have layers of onion flipping about, and you don't want that. You want nicely, tightly packed onions. So that's how you do it. This is the onion that you want to look like. And then after you have this part, you really thinly chop that end part, so it's still connected. You can see, and then you can cut it in half, and I guarantee nothing is going to fall. Your onion is nice and solid and perfect for the dish. So now the second part is adding the balsamic vinegar. Again, 2 tablespoons, and you hear that beautiful sizzle, the smell. Oh, yum. It's like a balsamic sauna in here, okay? And then you're going to put the salt. You want to season it with some salt in here. So that's around half a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to put the crushed black pepper, okay? And you really want to season it to bring out, because it is a savory tart, and the salt and pepper really makes it savory, and it brings out the sweetness of the onions. And then some fresh thyme sprigs, and you want to put a lot of thyme, because thyme and onions are just a match made in heaven. We're just going to put all that in there, and you can see that it's starting to caramelize. They kind of get a little bit transparent if you look closely, and I feel them, and They still have a crunch, but they're quite tender. And that's what I want. I don't want them too raw and I don't want them too cooked. And then I can show you here, you've got that beautiful caramelized sauce, and that's the kind of consistency that we wanted. It smells divine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to roll out our puff pastry dough. So you can make your own if you feel like challenging yourselves, but we're all about easy cooking. So this is already rolled out puff pastry dough. We're just going to make it a little bit wider so it fits in the pan and we can cover the pan. And we don't want it too thin. We just really want it to cover the gorgeous caramelized onions. Okay, so that's it. So another case, you could just cover this with a lid or foil and it will get the same consistency of the caramelization and the softness of the onion. And we'll let this cool down. If you've got time, it's obviously better to let your pan cool down first before putting the dough, but it's really not an issue. Basically what you're going to do is, I just covered the onions over here and it comes in parchment paper already. So if it doesn't come in parchment paper, you want to add that parchment paper under the dough before you flip it, just because it's like easier to work. And we're just going to remove that gently. And I want to cover all my onions nicely. And then with a pair of scissors, you just want to cut the corners off. Okay. And then what you want to do is you twist and flip, twist and flip. And in some cases, you don't need to tuck it in because it is already short. And then you want to get a fork and you want to just pierce inside the tart. And this will stop it from rising. And it is ready for the oven. So our tart is done. I'm so excited to show you. So this is the one that was cooking. Anyway, this is it. It's gorgeous. It's hot. You can see the pastry is nice and golden, and this is what we want. With either a knife or one of these like cake servers, you just want to go around the edges. Just loosen the dough up so it comes off easily when you flip it. And by the way, I kept this extra dough. You know the corners that you cut off? Not to digress, but you can use them. You can give them to your kids. You can fill them up with some cheese and put them in the oven. So don't waste your food. Just use everything. That's what I always do. And then in your beautiful serving platter, so whatever you're going to serve this in, you want to get it ready and you just put it in. So you want to make sure that it covers the whole pan. And now it is for the pièce de résistance. And we are going to flip. And I can hear it. So you want to get comfortable, right? And see. And that is our gorgeous onion tart. And you just want to use a pair of tongs. Sometimes you'll have some last resistant onions that don't want to come off. And you just place them, just fill it up. So let's just make it look nice and pretty. And we have these microgreens, edible flowers that we can just give it some color. And we also have some gorgeous white flowers that we can just put on top. You can use microgreens. You can use some fresh thyme sprigs. So just put that on there. And this really makes everything look pretty. This is, we have some sorrel, we have mustard, and we have, I think, some beetroot microgreens that I get. And they're all nice and organic. So we just make it look nice. And again, if you don't have any of this fancy stuff, you can really just use some thyme sprigs. And that is our onion tarte. And there we go. Looks delicious. I'm going to try a piece. See the crust? Just cut it. And the easiest way to really cut this when you serve it out to guests is with a pizza cutter. It just comes off really easily. It's nice and clean. It's super hot. So I'm just going to get a nice big piece all to myself. I don't know. I'm going to have a piece here. Oh, yum. So good. You can taste the balsamic, the thyme, all the caramelization. It's absolutely delicious. This is a showstopper. So enjoy making this, and don't forget to tag MAMALU Kitchen on Instagram so we can reshare your recipe on our Insta page. If you want more delicious recipes for your dinner parties and your families, don't forget to subscribe to the MAMALU Kitchen YouTube channel and hit the bell for the notifications. Enjoy. Mmm. Oh, yum. So good.